Well, presenters, welcome back. Coach Tommy here today to go over the most important dribble type. The most important dribble type, I'm going to give you the 3 major keys that you need to focus on while practicing, and then I'm going to show you how to set something up to optimize your practice. Alright, so the most important dribble type that you need to know is the crossover, okay? The crossover is just this, okay? So crossover. Why the crossover? The crossover because every other dribble type is based off the crossover. The crossover is this movement, moving the ball back and forth. To do a crossover between the legs, you're doing the exact same motion with your arms. Okay, same thing with behind the back. The same motion is happening. So this motion of your arms going back and forth like this is the most important motion that we need to get down. And the crossover is the foundation for all of that everything builds upon. Okay, so when we're practicing our crossovers, what do we need to focus on? The 3 major keys. Number 1, okay, you need to lean over. Okay, lean over with your back straight. So lean over with your back straight. Not like this, not hunched over. Okay, back straight as you lean over. Some coaches will say be tall like this. Okay, that's not realistic. That's not realistic in a game. You're not going to dribble like this in a game. And yes, it's good for practice, but it's not really going to help you because to get low, you're going to have to go like this with your back straight. And it's just really, really hard to make a move like this. You'll never see a player in the game make a move like this. Anytime you're going for a big time crossover or anything like that, you're going to step over and lean, okay, because your head and your body serves as partial protection against the defenders. They're not going to run into the top of your head, so when you're leaning in like this, they have to go through your body. But if you're up like this, making a crossover, they can just come in and invade your space. Okay, so leaning over is the first major thing that you need to do. Okay, so you need to lean over with your back straight. Okay, if you're doing it wrong and if you're doing it right, your back will burn, so make sure you have this. Okay, so we're building up our back muscles as we practice our crossovers. Okay, most stationary crossovers, you're just going to go like this. Okay, you want to lean over slightly more. Okay, so that's the first major key. You got to lean over. Okay, get used to it. Your back will burn. Just get used to it. You're going to build it up. Okay, key number 2. Fingers down. Okay, most people make mistakes when they crossover like this. They're bending their elbows and their fingers are pointing out. You gotta have your fingers pointing down. Fingers pointing down, and use your wrist as you do crossovers. Okay, fingers down. Using your wrist. Okay, quit slapping the ball. Okay, make sure you use your wrist, have soft hands, fingers pointing down, wrist. And lastly, okay, some players have difficulty with the coordination of the ball leaving one hand and coming to the other. Okay, so what I have players imagine is that their hands are connected, so you have to have the 3rd major key, which is your palms have to be pointing to each other. So your right hand has to talk to your left hand. Younger players kind of don't get it. If you're not that great of an athlete or you're just not that natural, okay, you just don't get it. So you just need practice. So you have a passing hand and then a receiving hand. So they need to be pointing to each other. So for young kids especially, or people that aren't getting it right away, I give them a stick, okay, and you have to have your palms pointing towards each other. So when you're passing the ball line to line, this goes like this. Okay, if we're going behind the back, the same stuff applies. Okay, it has to go like that. If we're squatting down, it has to go like this. If one hand is pointing here, and the other one's all the way over here like this, it's not going to work because you'll never receive the ball properly. Okay, so an easy thing to show your kids or for you guys that are beginners, okay, get something like this, put it through your legs, and if your hands are pointing at each other, you'll know that you'll be able to pass the ball back and forth between each other. Okay, so 3 major keys, just to review real quick. Fingers pointing down, okay, use your wrist. 2, lean over, the proper posture. So if you have a stick, again, back straight, okay, lean over like that. And lastly, palms pointing towards each other, okay? So something that I have set up here is just my trap bar that I was working with earlier. Okay, and then I just put a little PVC pipe at the end. And so this is gonna teach me, okay, how to dribble low with my fingers pointing down, okay? That's all you need to do, wrist, shoulders, and all that. Okay, so whoa, staring down at the floor is a bad thing. It's not necessarily a bad thing, we're just practicing, okay? We're working on our hands. All we're trying to do is work on our hands, so we're eliminating any leg movement, okay? So we're remaining stationary. You don't need to be confused with leg movement or anything like that. Okay, problems, oh yeah, I'm looking down. Eventually, you can use anything. So if I go this way, I can't see the ball, I'm looking right through the bench, okay? But I can still dribble low like this, okay? Because my hands and stuff are talking to each other, okay? It doesn't matter if you don't have anything like this, okay? You can set anything up. Usually when I go train players, they don't have this, obviously. So all you need is a chair or a broom or anything like that. Okay, I'm just going to use this little PVC pipe. Okay, normally players will have a broom or something in the house. So you just go like this, you can slide it through a folding chair. You have the exact same rig, okay? So then you end up with the same exact kind of stuff. If you need 2 chairs, you can set it up across 2 chairs. Okay, just be careful because if you smack it, okay, it might pop up on you. Okay, this thing might hit you, so weight it down or make sure it doesn't flip over like that. Okay? So the drill that I'm gonna have you do, obviously, is just crossovers under here. So you can go for 50. Okay, make sure you don't mess up like that. Okay, once you get comfortable with here, you wanna start to bring your shoulders out. Okay, so that ball will be extended a little bit longer. Okay, advanced beginners need to work on this. Okay, so the first one is just continuous crossovers. Going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Next will be pound crossovers. Okay, so now you're working this transition between using your elbows and fingers pointing out to transitioning to your hand to the ball on the side, pressing there. Fingers pointing out, fingers side, fingers out, out, side. Okay, so from this way to this way. Very, very important to get that transition between dribbles down. Okay, and then if you're past that and you want to keep going in your progressions, okay, crossovers, and then pound crossovers, and then pound pull, pound crossover, pound pull, pound cross, pound pull, pound cross. Okay, so now I have these cones here to make sure I'm not doing a front back dribble like this. Okay, and again, if you don't have cones, use water bottles. Okay, pound, pull, pound, cross. Okay, so now you're working all your transitions while going low. And then the last progression that I have players go through will be adding it all together. Okay, crossover, pound, pull, push cross. Push cross comes overhand. Pound, okay? So then you can build in all your dribble types here. Okay, so set up this rig, any chair, any broom, anything will do. Make sure you're dribbling low. Make sure you're focusing on those 3 keys when you're working your crossovers. Okay, go practice. Leave this set up in your backyard. Leave it set up somewhere so every time you see it, when you come out to practice, you just come out and you just boom, you just hit 100, hit 200 real quick. Okay, most players will get to 100, 200 in less than a minute. Okay, so just leave it there. It's a constant reminder to just crank your hands and work your hand speed. All right, that's all I got. Remember to take 14 minutes, 24 seconds, or 1% of your day to get better.